Yeah, maybe we'll have a celebration, a morning celebration. Who knows?
Hanukkah online.
What the end
Hanukkah in
of the
Hebrew.
class is the 30th?
Say that again, Edith.
The last class is the
Well,
30th?
Yes, certainly. If there's enough of you for class on the 30th, the last class will be the 30th. Yes, that's the end of the semester.
Okay. We'll document that.
Okay, yeah, you wrote it down. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are still working our way through the weekday Shachrit service. I am going to share my screen. Here we go. Okay. Last week, just to quickly remind us all, we talked about the Barchu, which is the call to prayer, and then the Shema and the paragraphs of the Shema. And we talked about tefillin and talitot and tzitzit, right? We all remember all of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. And so now we are preparing for the Amidah. And so we are up to this prayer, Mi Chamocha, which I'm sure is familiar to hopefully all of you. Can you see it? You see it on my screen? Maybe I'll make it a smidge bigger. Whoa, there it is.
There it is.
See it nicely now, right at the top?
Yeah, it's kind of small for me. I'm trying to find it in the book.
So in the book, Sim Shalom, it's on page 104 in the Sidor Sim Shalom for weekday use.
Oh, really?
I'm not using the Lev Shalem since that's a Shabbat book, right? So I'm not sure what book you have, Edith.
I have it on page 35 in Sim Shalom in the gray.
A different version of Sim Shalom. Okay, so
Wait a minute, you said 104?
in my Sidor Sim Shalom, it's on 104.
What part of the page?
Just about halfway down the page. There's 3 short lines, Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai.
Yeah, you'll see it on the left side in the transliteration easily.
Yes, but you're not looking there.
I was only
Wait a
looking
minute.
there. I was for only location purposes.
It's not in bold on page 104 in the Sim Shalom book?
Yeah, it's not in bold. It's there in regular type. So on page
It's in
104.
the middle of the page.
It's the
Yeah.
middle of the,
You have the blue one?
Yes.
Blue one.
It's the one that has weekday and Shabbat in it.
so
Why am I not finding it?
let's see what comes after it. I'm gonna check. So the next page should say Amidah. So if you go to wherever Amidah is and turn back a page, you should find it.
Okay, it's 106. I'm not losing my mind. Thank you.
Every book edition is ever so.
No, that's fine. I just said I can read Hebrew and I can't see Mi Kamocha. And so I was going crazy. Thank you.
Not a problem. I just want everyone to have the spot.
I got it. Now I'm back
Okay,
on track.
everybody's
Thank you.
good?
Yep.
Okay, so I am used to this sounding like this. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot, osef bela. And then we mumble, Shira Chadasha, Shibchu Geulim, right? And then we might start singing, Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'ed, Sor Yisrael, Kumavi Ezrat Yisrael, Uftechu Numecha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tzavot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael. I'm losing the tune, I apologize. But so it's sung and then there's a silent, I don't know why the box is there, because in my show, I don't think we sing Shirat Chadasha, we say it, then we sing again in the bold, because Debbie Lempert, who made the slide I have on my screen, so it has bold, not bold, bold, not bold, and it has the boxes. At any rate, pardon my really bad singing this morning. Does it sound familiar to people?
Only
Yeah.
not the very end, but yes, everything else.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yes.
take a
Well, I
sip.
think it's just a testament for me, Rachel, that I don't go to morning meeting regularly.
That's,
We could
most of us
also
don't,
sing-
I imagine. Edith might, but I have a
Friday
feeling a
night
lot of
too?
us don't.
This is my Hebrew class.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask people to read. Susan, will you start with the top line?
Mi chamecha ba'alim Adonai.
Ba'alim, so there are two dots.
Ba'alim. Okay, but is it, that's right, ba'alim. See, mine is I'm doing it out of the book and it's.
Okay, then that's perfect. That's, yes, I see that. My book is that way too. Okay, so the translation of that, who is like you, Adonai, among all that is worshipped, is what I have on my screen. Oh, that's what's in the difference between the two is this, on my screen, we have an exclamation point. In my book, we have a question mark. Edith, will you read the next 4 words?
Would that be me, Kamoka?
Yes.
Neda Bako Dash.
Exactly. Mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, who is like you, majestic in holiness. Then the next 4 words, Marlene.
Nora, Tehillah,
Tehilot.
Tehilot. There you go. Nora, Tehilot, Ose, Killa.
Bella. So that's a
Oh, that's a
fe.
fe, fella.
Fella. Fella. Exactly.
Ose, fella.
Fella. Right. So
What does fella mean?
I don't know exactly, but this translation here is awesome in splendor, working wonders.
It
Hmm.
means you're not a gal.
What? It means you're not a gal. Okay, fella. Thank you so much. Okay.
Oh, I get it. It's a pun, fellow,
Yeah,
fella. I got it.
exactly.
I got it.
Right. It took me a half a second. It took you 2 seconds.
It
but
took
yes,
me 2
we
seconds.
Got it. Okay. Audrey, now you're up and you can do 4 words starting with the box in front of the shin.
But I knew the last line so well.
Yeah, give it a go. You can do it.
All right,
Confidence.
hang on. Shira
Mhm.
Hadasha,
Right?
Shibhu,
Right?
Gaulim,
Yes. So we're going to put it together and we get Shira Hadasha Shibchu Geulim. All right. And I think that's the redeemed sang a new song for you. I'm not sure if that's exactly okay.
Well, we know that Shira is song.
Right, exactly. Right. I'm just not sure. The translation of the
translate.
whole sentence is a little out of sync, so it's fine. So we'll translate when we get to the end of the sentence. So let me see who's Lenore, will you read the last 4 words in this sentence? Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you. I see your lips moving though.
I'm sorry, I forgot I had muted myself. Lishimha al Safat
Yes,
Ayam.
exactly. L'shimcha al sfat chayam. So the whole sentence, Shira chadasha, shibchu geulim, l'shimcha al sfat chayam. So the redeemed sang a new song for you. I think that really goes to, and they sang in chorus, al sfat chayam. So yeah, they sang in chorus at the shore of the sea.
Lem Shalom said, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Sem Shalom says to you, a new song to you.
Okay, good. I like that. Will you read that sentence, Edith?
Mine says for you.
The redeemed sang a new song to you.
Okay. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
Mine says 4 also.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I'll on to, prepositions. Okay. Jane, will you unmute and read? Actually, if you don't mind, will you read 5 words, which is the next sentence?
Yahar, no, Yahad,
Yahad, perfect.
Kolam,
Ku,
Kulam, Hodo,
do,
Hodo, Yahim, Lich, Ko.
So this, let's break this one down. So it starts with a vav.
Oh, the him,
Mhm.
Lee,
There you go.
Lee, I think it's Ko.
So a dot in the middle is oo, a dot over top is o. So this one is oo.
The
So,
Ku,
so put it together.
Vahim, Lehu,
V'chim lichu.
Lihu, the him, Lihu, the him, Lihu, the Mado.
V'amru.
Oh, geez. The Amru.
You see it now?
Yeah,
V'amru. Okay. So I'll read it back. Yachad kulam hodu v'him lichu v'amru. Okay.
What does V'amru mean? And doesn't that begin another prayer that we sing?
Ruth.
Yeah, that one.
So amru is, and they said.
Oh, okay.
Or in this case, they say sang. They sang in chorus at the shore of the sea, acclaiming your sovereignty. So that's part of that translation. Yachad kulam, so together they did something. Hodu v'him lichu v'amru. So they said this. And the next sentence, Lorraine, will you read the next sentence here?
And before you go on, I'm sorry, Rachel, before you go on, could you read that whole thing, but not real fast?
Yeah, so I'll start here. Shira, is that where you want me to?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Shira chadasha, shibchu geulim, l'shimcha al tzfat hayam. Yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu v'amru.
That's a lot of something else. Thank you.
You're welcome. Lorraine, will you read this next sentence for us?
Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
Exactly. And we sing it, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. So it means Adonai shall reign throughout all time. And then usually we sing this part at my synagogue, but we'll read it here. Marcia, so Geraldine, will you do, how about do 5 words for me up to the second comma?
Me?
Geraldine.
Oh, Jalen, go ahead.
Okay, you ready? Zor Yisrael. Kuma. Wait a minute, hold up. Bezrat
Exactly. Be'ezrat. Perfect.
Ezra, Israel.
That's it. Yisrael. So it's Zor Yisrael, Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael. Okay. So Rock of Israel, rise to Israel's defense. Okay. Marcia, if you need to unmute. You want to pick up here to the end of the sentence?
Ufde. Kin.
Chi. This one has no dot in the middle, so it's a.
Chi. Micha.
So in this case, the nun and the aleph go together. Chinum mecha.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Chinum mecha.
Okay. Chi. Num. Num. Cha. Yehuda. Yisrael.
Perfect. Ufdei chinu. Now in my book, I was taught chinu mecha. In my book, it says chinu mecha. On this screen, this is not an it's a shva, which is a little annoying. So I was always taught this word is chinu mecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael. Don't know why they changed it.
So the way it is now, I'm sorry, I missed Marcia saying it. It's Hinumcha.
Chinumcha, exactly.
Okay.
But I was in my edition of the book, it's chinu mecha.
That's a big difference.
Okay. So
Rachel, could it be a typo?
well, we've come across this ever so slightly before, as I recall, when we were doing preparation for the high holidays.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I just don't know the answer, and this is Debbie Lempert's book. So I don't know.
Oh, you know what? In my book, it's Mecha also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At any rate, I will always sing it. Uftechinu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Okay, so here we are at the word starting with a gimel. Who hasn't read? Holler at me if you haven't read. I'm sorry, I can't see everyone.
I haven't, Connie.
Oh, Connie, see, I don't. Why is your picture? Connie, there you are.
I
Connie.
hide on your screen, I think.
You hide. You do.
I
You
must
move
be
around.
hidden.
That's what I knew. I was missing somebody. All right, Connie, you're up, girl.
All right. Go Aleinu, Adonai, Sivot, Shemo, Kadosh, Yisrael.
Right. The only thing, so it's Sivaot. You missed the under the vet, but
Sivaot, right.
Sivaot. Right. So,
Sivaot.
beautiful. Go Aleinu, Adonai, Sivaot, Shemo, Kadosh, Yisrael. Lovely. Well done. So, our Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel, Adonai Tzvaot. Okay, so then we're the very last line, I think Edith, will you read the last line?
Sure. Baruch atah Adonai, Go'al Yisrael.
Exactly. Praised are you, Adonai, Redeemer of the people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Okay, so this is.
Could I ask a quick one? So we know what Yisrael is, and I wonder why we don't say that way here. So do they say Yisrael and Israel? I should know this when they talk about Israel, and also what's Ivrit?
I imagine they say these prayers with Yisrael just like we do.
No, not the prayers. When they talk about the country, just basically, how do they pronounce the name of the country?
Who's the they, Audrey? Who's the they?
People in Israel.
Israelis?
Yeah.
Most of them speak Hebrew.
Right.
Right. So do
It'll
they
be
say
Yisrael.
with a Y sound or just Israel? Is it Yisrael or Israel?
It's a yud.
Okay.
So it's a Y sound. Yeah.
And then what does Ivrit mean?
Ivrit is Hebrew.
Hebrew.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
It's so funny that I hadn't heard the word Ivrit in a while.
Okay, so as I was saying, this prayer is a lead up to the Amidah. So and then we begin the Amidah, which we have studied a lot already, right? When, especially in our blue book, Ein Keloheinu, and what Rabbi Golinkin had to say, which was a lot. But so I want to share with you some things that Rabbi Golinkin didn't have in his book that I have in my Guide to Jewish Religious Practices. Come on, book.
We see it. It goes in and out
Okay.
of the blur.
Yeah, I know. It's because I blurred the background. It makes a mess.
By the
Okay.
way, I don't think there's a newer version.
Oh, all right. Well,
I'm not sure, but I saw a 79 on Amazon, I think, yeah.
well,
But if someone else finds it, let me know, please, because I want to get the newest one.
so in this book, it has a lot of explanation that I'm going to share some of it with you. So it says, when the Mishnah speaks simply of tefillah or prayer, it always refers to the Amidah, which was considered the prayer par excellence. In its religious spirit, the Amidah resembles the great devotional utterances of Scripture, and through it, the voice of Judaism speaks with the classical accent of the prophets and the psalmist. The Amidah is not a mere collection of short, independent prayers loosely strung together without inner sequence. There is a logical order to the benedictions. They may be divided into three groups: praise, the three opening blessings; petitions, the 13 intermediate blessings; thanksgiving, the three concluding blessings. This too has its logic. We begin with praise, express our petitions, and conclude with thanksgiving. The first three benedictions and the last three are the same at every service, on weekdays as well as on Shabbat and festivals. The intermediate ones are different on Shabbat and festivals because petitions would detract from the joy of such occasions. And this, Rabbi Golinkin talked about this, how the Kedusha is different depending on, and that's part of what this is. The intermediate is the Kedusha. It starts with the Kedusha. In there, so this says, I'll repeat, the intermediate ones are different because petitions would detract from the joy of such occasions. In their place, prayers suitable to the significance of the day are recited. The Talmud designates each benediction by a name. These are listed in order. Okay, so we start out with the Avot, which we did this when we were in our book. Rabbi Golinkin described the Avot, God of our fathers, the Gevurot, the mighty God, the Kedusha Hashem, sanctification of God, Bina, understanding, or for understanding, Teshuvah, for repentance, Slicha, for forgiveness, Geula, for redemption, Rifu'ah, for healing, Hashanim, for natural abundance, Kibut Galuot, I'm reading transliteration and I'm really bad at that. For the ingathering of the exile, Mishpat, the establishment of justice, Haminim, destruction of oppression, Tzadikim, for the righteous, Yerushalayim, for the rebuilding of Jerusalem, David, the advent of the Messiah, Tefillah, that our prayer be heard, Avodah, the restoration of the temple, Hoda'ah, our expression of gratitude, and Kohanim, prayers for peace. So during the repetition of the Amidah, the Kedusha, which sparks the holiness which speaks of the holiness of God, is recited before the third benediction. It is recited in the most solemn manner as a responsive chant between the reader and the congregation. And it begins with a call. We will, or let us, sanctify thy name. We are asked to fashion our sanctification of the name of God in consonance with that of the higher beings. For the two verses that form the heart of the Kedusha, which is the Baruch Kavod and the Kadosh, 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 were recited by the celestial hosts. Man is called to praise God in the same manner. So we talked about this, where we resemble the angels, right? And that the Kedusha is this sort of call and response from someone on earth and the angels in heaven, right? I know I'm asking you to go back months ago, but we did this. This book says the Kedusha is truly the climax of the service. Hence, it is recited standing, with feet together, and in the presence of a minyan. So this is also, I wanted to mention this, and this is why, while we started our classes together, learning the Shabbat evening service, right? The service where we welcome Shabbat in, then we went to Shabbat morning service, and now we're doing weekday Shachrit. This says, though the text of the Amidah is fixed, there are occasions when special prayers are inserted or wordings changed. And that's what we talked about, the Kedusha being different for Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, for instance, right? From a regular Shabbat morning. So I'm not going to go into all of these because he talks about during Ma'ariv, and our service isn't about Ma'ariv. Let's see. So the Talmud prescribes that a prayer with special reference to a particular day be inserted into the Avodah benediction. So the prayer is in our liturgy is Ya'alev Yavo. So I know we do Ya'alev Yavo on Rosh Chodesh, so on a new month. It was included in the Avodah because the latter is our prayer for the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem, and the Ya'alev Yavo has a similar reference. On a public fast day, another prayer is inserted, and this talks about in Mincha. We're going to skip that. On Tisha B'Av, on the 9th day of Av, at Mincha, we add a prayer. It is a prayer for the rebuilding of Zion and Jerusalem. That makes perfect sense, right? Hanukkah and Purim, we add Al Hanisim. It is added in the middle of Birkat HaHoda'ah. In the weekday prayer book, there's another addition. Al Hanisim is also said on Yom HaAtzmaut, Israeli Independence Day. It introduces appropriate historical references into our liturgy for those occasions. So, the rabbis were very thoughtful about this. On the 10 days of penitence, so the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they make certain additions that reflect the themes for the high holiday liturgy. When the reader repeats the Amidah and reaches the word Modim Anachnu Lach, those of you who are in services regularly probably know this reference, Modim Anachnu Lach. The congregation recites this, and we do it in order to express thanks ourselves rather than through an agent. So so you're sitting at this point when you get to Modim Anachnu Lach, but usually people bow forward as if they were still standing and doing the slight bend at the knee, bow at the waist. That is very traditional when you get to Modim Anachnu Lach. This is about Ma'ariv. Let's see. So at the conclusion of the Amidah, the Talmud gives a number of personal prayers that some rabbis were accustomed to add to the formal prayer, following the suggestion that one should not let his prayer become mere routine. And we talked about this very early on, where I remember someone asking and saying about that they mumble through this so fast. How can they possibly be saying every word? They're mumbling through it so fast. And my answer to you was that they're not actually saying every single word. They are kind of in a space where they know what the meaning or the overall meaning of what this prayer is about. And they are moving through it very quickly, but in their head, they are embracing the larger meaning of this part of the prayer, right? And this part of the service. But I like the fact that they didn't want this to become mere routine, which it seems to look like it is. So one of these prayers was selected for use by all worshipers. When the reader repeats the Amidah, he omits this prayer. This is the Elohai Natsor. While reciting the last sentence, Oseh Shalom, the worshiper takes 3 steps back, bows to the left, then to the right, and then forward. As the reader begins to repeat the service, the worshiper returns to his original position, taking 3 steps forward, just as he did before starting the Amidah. So this is that whole, I call it choreography, where before you begin, you're supposed to take 3 steps back, right? And then I think 2 steps forward. So you've removed yourself from the space where you were, then you re-entered that space. And now that you've re-entered, you are in a certain mindset to be doing this part of the service, the Amidah. You do, we bend at the knee and bow at the waist on certain parts. For the Kedusha, right, we keep our feet together. For Kadosh, 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 we raise up off our heels. Now they're explaining that when you get to the very end of your silent Amidah, you remove yourself from the space that you've just been in, right? So this really designates that that was a very specific space for a very specific reason. And so now you return to your original position. So you take your 3 steps forward, just as you did before, and now you're out of that space. So now they're getting into the 4 places where you should bow. And so at the beginning and end of the first benediction, at the beginning and end of the 18th. So this is not real helpful because we don't really count the benedictions. Okay. Throughout the recitation of the Amidah, one should stand with his feet together as the angels stood in worshiping God. The same posture should be assumed when saying the Kedusha. The Amidah is recited silently, should be said with complete devotion. While this applies to all prayers, there should be an added measure of reverence during the Amidah. The silent devotion should not be interrupted, even to respond to Kaddish or for the Kedusha. Rather, so in other words, if you're behind, if you're praying on your own and you're not in their spot, and I see this happening from time to time, you continue where you are, you continue to the end, and let them go on without you, as it were, right? This is okay, so where am I? Okay, one does not interrupt the Amidah even to be called to the Torah for an aliyah. That's pretty extreme, but you must have gotten there kind of late if you're not ready. But I mean, I have seen, those who are very devout and used to praying individually. Sometimes they would come late to Shachrit and they would stand off to the side and they would do their own catch up to get to where we were. And I respect that for sure, of course. Okay. So here it talks about the Talmud deems the recital of the Amidah to be obligatory for everyone in the congregation. Hence, each person recites the Amidah privately in silent devotion. The practice of repeating the Amidah was initiated because without the aid of prayer books, which did not come into use until the 8th century of the Common Era, many people did not know the text of the Amidah and the order of the blessings. And this is what I always thought was the case, that anyway, the repetition of the Amidah is designed shots being the here it is, for the Tzaliach Tzibor, for the emissary of the congregation, by listening attentively to the repetition of the Amidah as it is rendered by the Shaliach Tzibor, the emissary of the congregation, and saying amen to each blessing, persons unfamiliar with the prayer can fulfill the obligation. So again, the notion that we wanted to include the community, even though the community wasn't as knowledgeable, but we found a way for them to feel included. Even if everyone in the congregation is familiar with the prayer, we still repeat the Amidah because doing so has become an established custom. I have said on more than one occasion, can't we skip this? We're running really late. The answer is always no, we cannot. Although we do tend to do it more quickly when we're running really late, or when the service has, right? When the Torah reading was really long, and when there was a ufruf, and there was a double bar mitzvah, and there was a other celebration, right? So sometimes they zoom through it. Seriously.
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. So where are we? Okay, so on Mondays and Thursdays, which are considered Yemei Ritzon, days of grace, on which prayer, as it were, is more readily accepted, the longer supplications are recited. So now Monday and Thursday are also days when we read the Torah, right? The special merit of these days is ascribed to the tradition that Moses ascended Mount Sinai for the second tablets on a Thursday and returned 40 days later on a Monday. I didn't really recall that. So the longer version has 7 prayers that form a group of somber, deeply moving elegies and penitential prayers. They are said silently and standing. Are followed by shorter ones, except, okay. And then concludes with the half Kaddish, the Hatzi Kaddish, right? As do all sections of the service conclude with a Hatzi Kaddish. On Mondays and Thursdays, Al Erech Apayim is added, and this other prayer, Al Erech Apayim, is added after the Kaddish. This too is said standing. Okay, well, that's lovely. Okay. It's a little specific for us. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to read this paragraph. Let's see what's in it. So this is about reading from the Torah. Okay, the value and meaning of the Torah to the Jewish people, and in this case, the relevance of our reading from the Torah in the synagogue, is beautifully expressed in interpretation of the verse, and they traveled 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. This is Exodus chapter 15, verse 22. Water, according to the interpreters, is a metaphor for Torah.
Yeah.
When the children of Israel went for 3 days without Torah, they became demoralized. It was decided, therefore, that 3 days would never be allowed to pass without a Torah reading. Hence, its public reading on Mondays, Thursdays, and Shabbat. Okay. Let's.
Rachel,
Yes.
I didn't know that 3-day maximum, 3-day thing until you just mentioned that. Was that also the days that people came to the market?
I don't know
Together?
the answer to that.
Somebody once said that people came in with their wares and stuff, and so that they had a gathering.
That would, again, there's often very logical things that go behind all of this, and that would make sense because if they're there anyway. So, and it also goes to what Rabbi Go Lincoln said in his book, which is that on weekdays, we have a shorter shachrit. We appreciate people are working, people have other things to do, but on Shabbat, you don't. So we are going to put in lots of things and leisurely take our time and go through all of it. So could very well be. So, and we all have made reference to this, I think. So different days of the week, we have the different number of aliyot called to the Torah, right? So only 3 aliyot are called on Mondays and Thursdays because these are working days, and therefore we should not lengthen the service, right? All goes together. On Shabbat afternoon, there are also only 3 aliyot because it is close to the conclusion of Shabbat. On fast days, Purim and Hanukkah, 3 aliyot are called as well. On days other than festivals, when there is a Musaf service, such as Rosh Chodesh, and the intermediate days of Pesach and Sukkot, there are 4 aliyot. On the 3 pilgrimage festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, and on Rosh Hashanah, there are 5 aliyot. Yom Kippur, there are 6 aliyot. On Shabbat, there are 7. These do not include the maftir. So that's the person called immediately prior to chanting the Haftorah. The number of aliyot is fixed on all occasions except Shabbat, when the number may be increased. Today, this is discouraged in many synagogues lest we prolong the service. Exactly. On days when
Can I
there
ask you a quick question about that, Rachel?
Mhm.
Was this a function of convenience? So there's 7 plus the maftir. I'm thinking about my children's becoming a bar mitzvah and whatever.
Yeah.
And they splitted that, are you allowed to split aliyot, the people to come up to honor people or something?
I have to be honest with you. I don't quite know if it's fixed in stone or not, because I know, for instance, at my son's bar mitzvah, my closest girlfriend was reading from the Torah, and immediately before she went up, they said to her, "Oh, we're going to split you. You're going to stop here so that we're adding an aliyah."
Because that's exactly what I was referring to.
Right, exactly. And, you know, I don't remember how many total there were. You know, the rest of the day is a little bit of a blur. And you know,
Sure.
I was also reading from the Torah. I did not have an aliyah. I was reading from the Torah when my husband perhaps was called up. I can't, you know, they do it that way these days. So
Okay.
they split it. They, you know, they want to honor people, and they have occasions that maybe they don't realize in advance, and someone comes and they feel
Yeah.
the need to honor that.
At my son's bar mitzvah, there was a woman who was coming for her 70th. It was their 70th reunion of their high school. And there were a whole bunch of the women who would come up from Florida, and they were added to the list, which was fine. I mean, I'm new to this process, so I didn't really understand that, but it just meant that there was another exciting. Yeah.
Sure. Well, and also, if someone has been absent from synagogue for a while, perhaps they suffered an illness or a death in the family or something, the congregation wants to welcome them back and celebrate them and make them feel honored. They give them an aliyah. And so they walked in the door that morning and they're like, "Oh, you're back. We're giving him an aliyah." And,
Beautiful.
you know, it's a wonderful thing to do, and they add it on.
It's very nice. Thank you for.
It's lovely. Yeah.
And then another thing they also do is to just bundle the aliyot so that you go up as a group. You can.
Well, so that was
you
very,
put more
very,
people
that was
together.
unheard of at my show for the longest time. And I think in fact, it was not done. It was not done. I think now they let a married couple go up together, but I wish Mary Ellen were here. She could confirm this for me. But I tell you, I saw it at many other shows. My show, it was not happening. So, but here, on days when there are only 3 aliyot, a minimum of 10 verses must be read. These must be divided so that at least 3 verses are read for each aliyah. So it's very interesting how much we're supposed to get through, right? So now here, so the Torah is divided into 54 portions. One of these, or sometimes 2, depending on a variety of factors, is read each Shabbat. So the Talmud mentions that in Palestine, it was customary to complete the reading of the Torah in 3 years rather than 1. The use of a triennial cycle has been revived in many conservative synagogues. So some synagogues are on a triennial, but some are on an annual. And I don't know, I can't tell you who.
Triennial in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We're both. We have 3 different minyanim.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them does the whole parsha every week.
So in case you didn't know this, on Shabbat afternoons at the Mincha service, where we read Torah again, the reader begins where he left off that morning. In other words, the beginning of the next week's Torah portion begins at Mincha on that same Shabbat. The same portion is read the following Monday and Thursday. So
That's when the bar mitzvah kids used to begin
they would practice
the week of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't need to do, in my opinion,
I'm in my
all
Hebrew
of-
class. Everything okay?
because we have done that already. I like this page in my guide to religious Jewish practice. The conclusion of the service begins with Ashrei, Psalm 145. When you get to Ashrei, you're technically in the concluding portion of the service. Now that doesn't account for I guess I think the sermon is right before Ashrei, right? So he said his sermon and now you get to Ashrei and you can technically say, okay, we're in the downstretch, but it really depends. Okay, so because Ashrei sums up the Jewish doctrine of God, the Talmud urges that it be said 3 times daily.
Could you, I went reading my Haftorah.
What? No, I'm in
Oh,
people
I'm
reading
gonna-
class.
I'm going to mute her. Okay, so you can guess what that means for us. We are going to do Ashrei. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to find it. What time is it? Oh my God, it's late. I can't believe how late it is. I was hoping we'd have time to get through the whole prayer, but I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do, ladies. I'll make my screen bigger. How's that? Everybody, that's good for you? Can everyone see it if you don't happen to have your book?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you're welcome to open your book to wherever you like, if you have a book that, so in my Siddur Sim Shalom, it's on page 420. In Marlene's, it's probably like 422 because she was a few pages past me, but also we'll have it on the screen. We're doing Ashrei.
That's 181 in the left.
Oh, well, it's in a lot of places because
It's
we
in the
say
Sim Shalom?
I have it in Sim Shalom.
The little blue book?
In my Siddur Sim Shalom, I have it on 420, but
my book doesn't go to 420.
Well, see, I have the bigger version, right? So it's going to be in a lot of places because it will be.
I got it. Don't worry,
Okay.
I'll just use it from Left Shalom.
Okay, fine. All right. So what I would like to do is you guys mute, and we're going to spend our last 7 or 8 minutes. I'll sing a line. You can either, how do you want to do this? You want to sing at the same time as me, or you want me to sing and then wait for you guys while you sing after me?
You sing.
You're going to be waiting a long time.
No, I'm not. Okay, so
Excuse me. You sing and let us repeat because I normally can't get finished the line after you. So let's see if I do better today.
Okay, I think that's smart too. So everybody has to mute because I can't mute all of you at once in this when I'm sharing my screen. So you have to mute yourselves. She's already muted. Okay, so I'm going to be watching your mouths. So, don't go looking away. I got to see where you are. Okay, I'm going to sing slowly. And I apologize if I go off key, but I know you guys love me and won't mind. Here I go. Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yahalelucha selah. Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Elohav. Tehillah leDavid. Aromimcha Elohai HaMelech, Va'avarcha Shimcha Leolam Va'ed. B'chol Yom Avarchecha, Va'ahalela Shimcha Leolam Va'ed. Gadol Adonai Umhulal Me'od, Ve'ligdulato Ein Cheker. Dor ledor Yishabach Ma'asecha, Ugvurotecha Yagidu. Hadar kivod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha. Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru, ugdulatcha asaprena. Zecher rav tuvcha yabi'u, v'tzidkatcha yiranenu. Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim ugdal chesed.
Hanun urachum Adonai. Erech afav afim.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. Yoducha, oh, I'm sorry, I'll wait. Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha. Kivod malchutcha yomeru, ugvuratcha yedaberu. Lehodia lifnei ha'adam gevurotav, uchvod hadar malchuto. Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umem shaltecha bechal dor vador. Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakfufim. Einei chol elecha yisaberu, ve'atano ten lahem et achlam be'ito. I'm gonna move this up. Poteach et yadecha, umaspia l'chol chayratzon. Tzadik Adonai b'chol drachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav. Karov Adonai l'chol korav, l'chol asher yikra'uhu ve'emet. Ritzon Yureav Yaaseh Ve'et Shavatam Yishma V'Yoshi Shomer Adonai et kol ohavav ve'et kol harshayim yashmid. Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi ve'yivarech kol basar shem kadsho leolam va'ed. Va'anachnu nivarech ya me'ata v'ad olam. Hallelujah. Okay.
Rachel, I feel like I am regressing. Sorry, I do. I feel like I'm regressing.
It's a wonderful piece to practice. That's what I will do.
It just takes practice. Truly, it's all it is. It's practice, and don't beat yourself up. I would imagine that 2 or 3 times through, and you'll feel like you're right back where you were.
Okay, Edith.
No, the funny thing is when I'm doing my morning prayers, I can do the Ashrei down to Tov. I can get halfway through.
Yeah.
But when I'm reading it, I'm like stumbling along, like I never heard it before.
That's because your brain remembers, and it's easier to remember a song than it is to read just each word, and that's okay. And maybe the answer also, Edith, is start with after Tov, right? The part you know so well, practice the part you don't know so well, right? And I will send you the recordings, obviously. Also, isn't there, aren't there, there's my recording over and over and over, obviously. We've done this many, many times, but I thought there were also some other ones. If you're tired of me, pick another one.
We never tire you, Rachel.
No, I want to do just what you just did. I need to practice right there.
Yeah, pick up right there.
I also find that it's different if I just read the prayer, read the words. It's one speed and one level of ease. And if I try to sing it, it's a different speed and a different level of ease. And trying to sing it, I mean, that's the ultimate goal for us because it's a prayer that's sung. The ultimate great practice is to do it just this way, Rachel, with us repeating after you, because that we get the rhythm of the words and the tune together, which I sometimes lose when I'm trying to do it myself.
Well,
yeah, this is a good way.
Okay. As I said, I was not going to have class next week because I have a house full of people. So, but you guys can practice. You can use my recording and practice on your own. You can, I don't know that anyone can share screen if I'm not here, so that you would kind of play my recording and do it together.
We did when you were away, Gerald, and kind of led us.
Oh, good. Well, then do that. Do that again. Carolyn's looking like.
Wait a minute. Let's correct that. We were group led.
No, but you were kind of the leader.
Sorry, ladies, I have to go to a funeral. Shabbat shalom.
Okay. Shabbat shalom, Marlene.
Happy Thanksgiving. So we're skipping next week.
Shabbat shalom.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. If you guys are able, this line is open for you. Just sign in, and do something. You can also not start at the beginning. You don't have to start at the beginning, right? In other words, you can just maybe read through the hard parts first and then go back and sing the easy part at the beginning, which most of you know the beginning.
Okay.
How many of you guys showed up that week?
4. Was there 4, Geraldine?
4.
Well, you think you want to do it on Friday?
Oh,
Listen, that would be my
we'll
chance. that I'd
probably
at
be
the
here.
desk.
Yeah.
I can do it from home.
Yeah, for Marcia, that'd be great. She's not at the desk, so,
She is at
Clubhouse
the
is
desk.
closed.
Marsha's at the desk all the time.
but not next Friday.
Next Friday, we're off.
Oh,
Officially-
Marsha, we can have your, Marsha might lead. Marsha's very.
I was
fluent.
gonna say, Marcia knows a lot of it. She could lead part.
Yeah.
Each of you, you have your strengths. So the ones who feel good, do that part and then struggle together and help each other.
But Jane, wasn't Edith a good teacher too?
Yes.
What's she talking about?
Question.
The best
so-
part about Ashrei is it ends in hallelujah.
Yes, it's so.
We know when we get there.
Every small child agrees with you on that line.
Good point. Good point.
That book, Rachel, The Guide to Jewish Practice, is there
Edith
an
and
author?
Kirsten are leading next week. Is that it?
Wait, so, Marcia, the Guide to Jewish Religious Practice is Isaac Klein.
Of blessed memory.
Yes.
The
Probably
the
what.
Guide to Jewish Religious Practice. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's in the email I sent last week too.
Yeah.
So,
Audrey, I think that I saw a different version. I mean, a different thing.
edition.
You might want to look at thrift books and discount places like that to put it in other
Was
than
it a
Amazon.
later? It was a later edition?
I believe so.
If,
So
can you, if you see it, could you shoot me a link? And otherwise, I just basically.
just look
have
up thrift books. Look on thrift
Okay,
books.
because Amazon has 79.
No,
but
not
I might as
Amazon.
well-
I go to other places.
And you
Yeah, I
bought it?
thought I had
title.
seen. Yeah, I thought I had seen newer ones
Okay,
too.
great. Did you